Hi there, Sue Johnson here. Now, I make videos about nature and camping and hiking and all kinds of things related to that, but I also knit a lot. And so this is for my knitting friends. So, what am I working on? You want to say today, but it's really not today. It's like this week, this month, maybe. So, I'm going to show you. First of all, I absolutely love this Pearl Soho picnic cotton, and it comes in various colors. And but I love. In fact, I'm wearing picnic cotton blend. The white is actually some cotton yarn I got from BC. But anyways, I love the feel of it. It's become the top I knit in this color has become one of my favorite tops. This is also a favorite. It's just soft, comfortable. It allows your body, your skin to breathe. It's not too warm, and it just adds a little bit of warmth when you need it. So I decided, I should be careful and turn this inside out. I decided to make a picnic cotton tee tank top. Now, this might be a bit tricky to see, but there it is in part. So you can see I'm working on the body. And what I have found that with this particular yarn, for me anyways, if I'm using a size 7 or 8 needle, circular needle, I for the body I have about 180 stitches round, and that seems to be the right diameter for me without it being too big. I do have my first one that I knit, and it was just like way too big, so I took it all apart, and I'm gonna redo it eventually. But right now that's what I'm working on. And the thing is, this is striped, as you've noticed, and I've got three strands that I'm working with, which gets to be a little bit cumbersome, and every once in a while you have to untangle the whole lot. But what I'm going to do is, in this video, I'm going to show you how I made my joins so that I don't have a lot of holes where the yarn is joining, and that the transition is relatively smooth. I don't know if that shows up there, but I can take a picture of it. The joining is like it's a straight line. They call it knitting without jogs, meaning that when you're joining your thread, your yarn, one of them tends to be up higher than the other row. And there's ways to do that, and also ways to do it so that there aren't holes in the gaps or holes in the joins. And I am carrying my yarn up through the underarm part of the garment. So that's one thing I'm working on. And like I said, I'm going to show you how I tried a couple of different techniques on how to do stripes and get a nice join without a hole. With this top, I didn't do that. The join is in the back, and it jogs sometimes. So that's one thing I'm working on. Now, I have knit this particular tank top a couple times last year, and this was one of my first ones, and I just crocheted the edging. And I think I crocheted the edging here as well. And then I did a rib edge, rib bottom, and it's great. But what I found was, now this is a merino. Obviously, you can't wear it a lot in the summer, but then the back of it was like too high up, so I found that it was kept rubbing on my neck, which I didn't like. That was a bit annoying. It's not too bad with the merino because it's a little bit more, has a little bit more give. This is also merino, but again, I found the same thing, that the back neckline is sort of pushing on my neck. So what I might do is try just sewing over the edge and seeing if that brings it down a little bit in the back. Or if that doesn't work and it's still uncomfortable, I'll be taking it apart. Aren't the colors interesting? It's just the natural, I guess they call it self-striping. When you're knitting back and forth, as this was done, it just comes out as a stripe. But then when you knit in the round, it comes out with this lovely psychedelic effect. So that was a lot of fun. Like I said, I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do with it yet. The blue one I do wear. And then I am working on a variation of a knit from top down. It's not a ranunculus, but the ranunculus has kind of got me thinking about things. So I'm doing a yoke knit top down, and what I'm doing, instead of a ranunculus pattern, I'm doing a different pattern. I'm doing just following a, I don't know what you call it. I'm following a chart so that I can get a pattern in here. It's halfway done. Can you see that? It's starting to form there. Anyway, so, and the chart, I don't even know what the name is on this pattern, but if I found that if you calculate, I knew how many stitches I had around. In this case, my yoke goes out to 270 stitches, and then I will take off 45 for each sleeve later, so it'll leave me 180 with the body, which is, this is the picnic cotton again. So yeah, I ordered more from the US. And this came and I didn't have to pay duty on it, which is great. I figured out how to do that. If you order $50 or less, somehow it just comes right into my post box and they don't charge me duty. When I ordered $60 or $80, I got somebody at the door and I had to pay duty. So anyways, you just calculate. This pattern is 15 stitches across, and I just divided that into my 270, and I had a few extras, so I added 1 or 2 stitches on each side of the pattern, and then I can get the pattern to come out evenly. And basically it's going to be in the yoke of the garment, and then I'll divide off. Once I finish this pattern and I get this into 10 inches in length, which is a typical yoke length, once I get that done, then I'm going to divide it off into my sleeves like this one, and then just work on the body, which is about 180 stitches. So that is kind of what I've been working on. Actually, there's a few other things, but I'll just show you one other thing. This is merino wool, and this is my, when I go to church knitting, I just pick it up and take it with me. I actually knit in church. I can just follow along with the sermon or the speaker and knit away. And it's basically garter stitch, and I've added a little bit of design in there. Can you see those hearts? That's working on pattern. And I just, sometimes when you pick up knitting, it's because you like the pattern, or sometimes you pick up knitting because you like the wool. In this case, I like the wool. Isn't that a pretty color? I don't know if it comes out. You know what? I call this my office. I film in my bedroom because it's got the best light coming in, especially daylight. So hopefully it shows you the right color. Goodbye. See you later. And that's it. So yes, okay, so keep watching. I'm going to show you how I did that jogless knitting. There's a couple different stitches. Actually, there's a whole bunch of different ones that I tried. And sometimes when you search out something and you try a stitch, it's not working for you. And some of the stitches I tried just weren't working for me. I don't know if that's like human error, I just don't know how to do it. Or I didn't know how to do it, or I didn't practice it enough times. But when you find something that does work, and these 2 stitches do work for me, 2 techniques, then you use it again and it's fun to share it. So that's it for today. So stay tuned. I'll show you that stitching technique, and why don't you share with me your summer projects? So these are what I've shown you is all 100% cotton, Pearl Soho, picnic cotton, Peruvian Pima cotton. It's really soft. It's worth your while. If you're American, go buy it. If you're Canadian, order it, but try to keep it $50 or less. So, and I think I get a 50-gram ball for $10 US price. Anyways, so talk to you later and share with me, okay? I actually put together this green and purple stripe on circular needles just to illustrate how I join colors so that you have a nice smooth join, jogless knitting. So one way is to slip the stitch. You knit your first row with your new color as you would, and then as you come to your second row, you just slip the stitch purlwise and continue knitting around. And that seems to work. I think one reason it works is because you're pulling your working thread in behind, which cinches in those two stitches, the slipped one and the next one that you work. I like to analyze, like, why does it work? And that's what I think is going on. So you slip it purlwise, and then you knit the next stitch, and you just continue on. Now, this is not the best example or sample because I'm still learning how to do this, and I use a couple of different techniques, as I mentioned. So my rows aren't exactly neat. You can see there's a stitch there that is longer than the rest and looks like it goes into the green row. But this is the thing, you have to try it and keep practicing it until you get the hang of it, till you get into the rhythm of it, and then it begins to come together nice and neat. When you start a new color or you're switching colors, you just simply knit that row as you would. Just knit every stitch. It's when you start your second row that you want to slip purlwise. You know, when you watch videos and everything seems to be perfect, well, this is not one of them. I'm practicing this, but it's not coming out the way I want it to. However, in subsequent top that I'm knitting, the one with the three colors, it's working for me. So when you're doing this, bring your joins underneath the armpit so that they're not as visible. I have a sweater where I did my switching yarns right down through the center of the back, and I always know which is the back and the front of the garment because it's got that funny little joining line like going down the spine. All right, so I'm coming up to the second row here. So I'm going to slip it purlwise. You don't knit it, you just slip it over. And it's bringing that thread in behind those two stitches that brings it together, cinches it in. And like I said, you keep practicing this and you will get it. Working on my striped top, and this is all the picnic cotton from Pearl Soho. My joins are a little more smooth. As you can see, the lines, there's no jogging. Whereas in the previous purple and green sample, there is jogging because I was learning how to do it. And it's there's no holes down through that join. And again, I did the joining underneath the armpit, just that line down there. It's an area that nobody's really going to see in your top, unless they're another knitter and they want to see how you did it. Now I confess, the white I'm using in this particular top is About Strings, totally cotton from British Columbia. Now I have completed my first row and I'm coming to the beginning of my second row. Now this technique is a little bit different. Instead of doing that slipping of the purlwise of the stitch, what I do is I pick up the leg from the previous line and I put it on. Whoops, I almost made a mistake there. I just put it up on beside the stitch and I knit those two together. And again, what that does is it cinches those two stitches close together so that you don't have a hole, and you get the same effect where you have a jogless stripe, meaning the stripes just go along in a nice smooth line. So that's another technique I saw. I can't remember who illustrated that one. It was a very old video, but it works. And in a way, I kind of like that, picking up the leg from the previous row, putting it up on my needle, and then knitting the 2 stitches together. Either way, the end result is that you want a seamless flow of switching yarns, and you want your lines of color to be even, not to have this sudden little jog up. So I'm showing that again, where I pick up the leg from the previous row and I just kind of twist it and put it on my needle. And then I will knit the 2 stitches together. Oops. We're so used to knitting, just knitting a stitch, but no, you just place it up on your needle and then you knit the 2 together. And sometimes if you see there's a bit of a gap, you just pull your threads in behind and tighten it up a little bit. Not too much because you don't want to pull it up. You just want to close up the gap. And it works. When you're working with more than one color, one thing you can do is you can carry your strands up through your work. So what you do is you just twist them. Give it just maybe one twist and carry it through. In this case, I'm carrying up 3 strands, 3 colors. So it seems to be working fine. So I hope you enjoyed that and gained something from those little techniques, and that hopefully it inspires you to grab some cotton yarn, maybe picnic cotton, and try knitting stripes. You don't have to get tied up in knitting stripes. And if, like I said, if you are knitting a summer top, share that with me because I'd love to hear what your patterns are, what you're working on, what works for you, and it's great to share. So, and I will respond. Cheers.